veteran, Jeremy Stephens, who returns. We haven't seen him since July. He joins us right now in sunny California. Wow, look at that. I am so jealous of you, Jeremy. How are you?
Fantastic, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. Congratulations on getting this big opportunity to headline the prelims on ESPN against Zabit. This is a big deal. And obviously, I'm sure you're well aware of the hype surrounding Zabit. When you were offered this fight, how aware were you of what he had done thus far and all the people talking? Like, were you familiar that this was kind of the guy that everyone was saying was a future champion, or did you learn after the fact?
Yeah, actually, when I was down in Orlando when I fought Josh Emmett, I was getting ready for the ceremonial weigh-ins. Mark Delagrati and Sean Shelby were coming over talking to me, and we kind of mentioned that kid, and I said, hey, after I take care of Josh Emmett, I'd love to go to Russia. I heard you guys are going to Russia. And Mark Delagrati just smiled and looked. He's like, man, you're crazy. He's like, you got a fight ahead of you, and you're talking about another fight. He's like, that's just you, I guess. And I feel like a lot of people are turning down this kid, fighting this kid. Me, I look at it totally different. It's best I get my hands a hold of him now before he gets the actual fight experience, actually starts fighting some of the UFC guys and gaining that fight IQ to a whole nother level. I don't feel like he's fought anybody like me, such as myself. I don't think he ever will. And it's going to be my time come March 2nd. I get a chance to prove it to everybody in the world.
Have you watched a lot of tape on him?
I particularly don't watch a lot of tape on him. I've seen him fight before. I allow my coaches to put in the work, and I just focus on what I'm going to do. I know what his capabilities and what his best assets are. I know him. I can see him. I've seen him. I can feel it. So it's almost my time. I believe in I put my trust in my coaches. That's where my outward focus goes when I look to figure out an opponent. I let my coach Eric Del Fierro, the head coach at Alliance, figure that stuff out for me, and let my coaches just put me into the mission of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to implement my game plan, and we're going to run right through them.
Based off of what you have seen from him thus far, are you impressed?
Yeah, of course. I respect everybody who steps inside the octagon. Do I feel like he's got what it takes to beat me? Absolutely not. Of course, I'm always going to be headed one way. My opponent's going to be headed the other way, and we're gonna collide. I feel like if we collide, he's going to feel the steel, and he's an aluminum type car, and I'm going to run right through him, like I said. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to fight such a talented young man, a Russian, somebody I've never really fought before, and his style. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I'm going to welcome it, and he's going to really feel what it's like to be in there with somebody like me.
I know you say that you haven't watched a lot on him. I respect that. I know your coach does a lot of that. But in terms of what you know or what you've talked about, in terms of the holes in his game that you're looking to exploit, because everyone's glowing about him, but we don't talk a lot about his holes. Have you pinpointed holes? And if so, can you share some of them with us?
Yeah. I have no problem opening up his holes in his game. He lacks a lot of just basic boxing, basic setups. He likes to do the flashy stuff, but, can you really do that for 15 minutes and be spinning around 15 minutes? I doubt it. And there's going to be opportunities to exploit that. I feel like he has been exploited in some of his fights. He doesn't hit very hard, and people have been able to walk right through and smile at his little, pillow punches. As far as his best asset, I feel like it's his grappling, his ground game. His body locks are really good. His wrestling's really good. His submissions are real funky. He's got a basic leg rider, which is very tricky. He does offer some problems, but we have the solution.
Would it be a fair thing to say that he's never fought anyone as tough as you? Do you believe that?
I believe in that 100%. I feel like he's never fought anybody as tough as me, but not only do I bring toughness, because tough guys don't last in the sport. It's people willing to make changes, adapt, grow, learn, overcome. I don't lose, I learn. I come back stronger than ever. I come back better than ever. And I always come with ferociousness, like, damn, like Jeremy Stephens is getting older, but he's getting better. And I get a chance to go do that at a main event to a whole new crowd of ESPN who probably don't know who the guy I am. And I get to go in and make an example out of a young hype train once again, and get a proof to the people who the fuck I really am. So what a great opportunity. Like I said, I'm welcoming the challenge, and I get to go prove myself once again and just prove of how good I really am and how much better I can be when I learn from losses and learn from each time I step inside that octagon.
Speaking of evolving and adapting, You're coming off a loss to Jose Aldo. Prior to that, you probably looked the best that you've ever looked in your career. You had won 3 in a row. And from what I was told, you've done a lot of growing, a lot of evolving since that loss in July, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. What do people mean when they say that to me, that you've done a lot, you've worked on yourself, that you've grown a lot? What have you been doing behind the scenes?
Well, first, I'd like to acknowledge you and your breakthrough with Dominic Cruz. I ended up watching that interview that you did with him, and you just seemed so mind blowing. And you said that, man, when I was getting taken out and escorted, Dominic was getting his hand raised, and then the vice versa turns around. I basically went to a mental program. And, as a kid, I've been through so much. I've been through living in a shelter, living in a car, and just lived through so much abuse in my childhood, going through 14 different elementary schools. And I was never really able to talk about that. And I let that affect me and patterns in my life. I was able to go through a program and find out a lot about myself in this program. I followed alongside Dominic. My coach, Eric Del Fierro, went through this program. And it really helped me just find myself mentally, helped me find my confidence. And, as a kid, when you go through stuff like that, I was really realizing I was failing at my biggest moments. Like, why every time do I fail at my biggest moment? And, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really believe in myself. I didn't, why should a young kid from Des Moines, Iowa be a champion? And right as I was about to get my title break, I would just drop the ball. There was no self-confidence. Those things were holding me back. I was able to dig deep, really go in, get some tools, get some coaching from some of the best people in the world. That was better than any type of counseling that I've ever been to. And it's really helped me grow tremendously with my relationships, even with my wife and my relationships at home with my kids. After that loss, it wasn't even about the fight. It was just these patterns in my life that was really setting me back. I was literally ready to change my life, change my wife, change my house, change my car, let alone I was thinking suicidal thoughts. And little did I know, once I got into this program, all I had to do was change my mindset, find some tools, discover a little bit more about myself, dig a little bit deeper, share these things with people so that, they can see where I come from, and I can also learn from their life experiences as well. And when I saw that interview with you and Dominic, I just seen how mind-blowing you were about how he was able to share and open up some vulnerability in his life and what he's going through, and the painness and the sadness. People look at us as fighters, and yes, I'm probably one of the toughest dudes you'll ever meet, but I've also been, down in the dumps alongside some of the real people in the world. I'm a real human being. I'm a person. I have feelings, I have emotions, and I have a family myself. So all this growth has been after the fight and through the end of the year, and going through this program has really put me on another level mentally, and it's helped my training. I've seen how it's affected my relationships and opening me up to a whole new world. And yet again, I get to go in on ESPN on a main event and go in there, balls big, hand swing, and take advantage of an opportunity against a young man.
Wow, that is incredible. Thank you for sharing that. So in some respects, the Jose Aldo loss was one of the best things to ever happen to you.
For sure.
Wow.
100%. It was a big breakthrough in my life where, I had to figure out these patterns of why am I failing at my biggest moment? Why is that? It had nothing to do with him, because honestly, if we run that back, I win 9 times out of 10. And, going there and discovering and learning about myself, there's never a fight with an opponent. It's a fight with yourself at times. So getting there and discovering me, Jeremy Stevens, the young little kid, the insecure kid who was bullied bullied growing up, been through so much ups and downs and seen so much crazy stuff happen in his life. I really got to figure that little kid out and go back to that innocent little kid who's loving, compassionate, courageous, has got a big heart, will give you a shirt off his back, we'll reach out to anybody in the world and help him out. So I really got to go back to that fun, loving kid again, and it feels great. I'm in a really good place in my life, mentally, physically, and I'm looking sharp and I'm feeling sharp, and I can't wait to go and capitalize March 2nd.
And just want to ask one more thing about that. So you were feeling suicidal after the fight against Jose. Is that the first time you've ever experienced that?
I feel like when I was younger, I was experiencing that maybe in high school. Hormones were raging. I was a kid who didn't really have too many friends growing up. And then once my dad got custody of me and going through middle school and into high school, I was feeling suicidal back in them days. I never attempted suicide, but I was feeling in a really, really dark place, and I don't think I've ever really shared that with anybody. And after the fight, I was looking at my kids who were 9 and 7, and that was when my parents split up. It was when I was 8 years old, and just these patterns, I was almost like ready to go down that pattern. Like I said, I was ready to leave my wife, leave my kids, and just leave it all. Change my house, change my car. I was thinking suicidal thoughts, and not until my coach Eric Del Fierro saved my life and got me involved in that program that we're talking about. And it's been a blessing. It's when I came back out of those classes, man, I went over to Eric and I gave him a big hug, and I cried in his arms, and I was like, man, thank you for saving my life. You have no idea what this has done for me. And that just goes to show how impactful this program really is and what it's really done for me.
Wow. And what is it called? Perhaps someone else might be interested in taking those classes.
Choice Center. It's Choice Center in Las Vegas. It's a leadership program. It's a leadership university. One of the head ladies out there is Robin Williams. She's one of the most successful coaches in emotional intelligence. It's really what it is an emotional intelligence EQ program.
And did you have to sleep there?
No, I got to stay in my own hotel room
Okay.
in Vegas. It's a 4-day program, and then you're off a week, and then you go 4 days into the next week, and then then you go through the leadership, and that's the part that really starts becoming life. You get pumped up in the classroom, and you get a lot of stuff out, and I can't really share the experience because you got to get people in there, and they get to have their own experience, and then you get to go into a leadership program, which is 100 days, and the program is really basically with how you're dealing with everyday life. And you have tremendous coaches and people there alongside you, helping you along the way and through your journey, and they're pushing you towards your goals and everything that you declare.
I got to say, I was looking forward to this fight. Now you have you've just made this one of the fights that I'm most looking forward to on this card. I mean, it's really incredible. I had no idea about everything that you've been through and had to overcome and how you've changed since the last time we saw you in there. So I can't thank you enough for sharing that with us. And now you have just, in my opinion, raised the level of interest going into this fight. I'm excited. I feel like we're about to see a new Jeremy Stephens out there. So that's a pretty amazing thing considering how many times we've seen you in the UFC.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I was really closed off back in the past. I really, no one knew who the fuck I was because I was so closed off. I came off as a mean, arrogant, cocky type person. I feel like being able to tap into my life and share these moments, maybe there's some kid out there listening who's going through some things that I've been through, if not maybe worse, and I can help them along the way. I really found my purpose in this program, and that is my purpose is, kids who are going through those times and living, alone or suicidal or just going through life and don't think you can make it. Trust me, I'm an example of if you don't ever give up and you choose the right path, you can make it. You can do anything in your life. You just got to have it here. And that's really what this program has done for me. I've really found my purpose. I know what I'm fighting for. And like I said, March 2nd, main event, it's going to be fireworks.
Much respect, Jeremy. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished, and I can't wait to see you out there in Las Vegas. Safe travels. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for opening up, and good luck in the fight on Saturday.
Hey, thank you, Ariel. As always, man, you're one of the best out there, man. I really appreciate you giving me the platform to share my story. And yeah, tune in. Main event, ESPN, baby. We're gonna shock the world.